GitHub, Inc. is an internet hosting service for software development and version control using Git. It provides the distributed version control of Git, plus access control, bug tracking, software feature requests, task management, continuous integration, and wikis for every project. Headquartered in California, it has been a subsidiary of Microsoft since 2018. It is commonly used to host open-source software development projects. As of June 2022, GitHub reported having over 83 million developers and more than 200 million repositories, including at least 28 million public repositories. It is the largest source code host as of November 2021.
Development of the GitHub.com platform began on October 19, 2007. The site was launched in April 2008 by Tom Preston Werner, Chris Wanstrath, PJ Hyatt and Scott Chacon after it had been made available for a few months prior as a beta release. GitHub has an annual keynote called GitHub Universe. GitHub, Inc. was originally a flat organization with no middle managers. In other words, everyone is a manager. GitHub.com was a bootstrap startup business, which in its first years provided enough revenue to be funded solely by its 3 founders and start taking on employees. In July 2012, 4 years after the company was founded, Andreessen Horowitz invested $100 million in venture capital. In July 2015, GitHub raised another $250 million of venture capital in a Series B round. Investors were Sequoia Capital, Andreessen Horowitz, Thrive Capital, and other venture capital funds. As of 2018, GitHub was estimated to be generating $200-300 million in annual recurring revenue. The GitHub service was developed by Chris Wanstrath, PJ Hyatt, Tom Preston Werner, and Scott Chacon using Ruby on Rails, and started in February 2008. The company, GitHub, Inc., has existed since 2007 and is located in San Francisco. On February 24, 2009, GitHub announced that within the first year of being online, GitHub had accumulated over 46,000 public repositories, 17,000 of which were formed in the previous month. At that time, about 6,200 repositories had been forked at least once and 4,600 had been merged. On June 4, 2018, Microsoft announced its intent to acquire GitHub for $7.5 billion United States dollars. The deal closed on October 26, 2018. GitHub continued to operate independently as a community, platform and business. Under Microsoft, the service was led by Xamarin's Nat Friedman, reporting to Scott Guthrie, Executive Vice President of Microsoft Cloud and AI. GitHub's CEO, Chris Wanstrath, was retained as a technical fellow, also reporting to Guthrie. Nat Friedman resigned November 3, 2021. He was replaced by Thomas Dohmke. Projects on GitHub.com can be accessed and managed using the standard Git command line interface. All standard Git commands work with it. GitHub.com also allows users to browse public repositories on the site. Multiple desktop clients and Git plugins are also available. The site provides social networking-like functions such as feeds, followers, wikis using wiki software called Golem, and a social network graph to display how developers work on their versions of a repository and what fork and branch within that fork is newest. Anyone can browse and download public repositories, but only registered users can contribute content to repositories. With a registered user account, users are able to have discussions, manage repositories, submit contributions to others' repositories, and review changes to code. GitHub.com began offering limited private repositories at no cost in January 2019. Previously, only public repositories were free. On April 14, 2020, GitHub made all of the core GitHub features free for everyone, including private repositories with unlimited collaborators. The fundamental software that underpins GitHub is Git itself, written by Linus Torvalds, creator of Linux. The additional software that provides the GitHub user interface was written using Ruby on Rails and Erlang by GitHub, Inc. developers 𝐁𝐮𝐬𝐢𝐧𝐞𝐬𝐬 and Preston Werner. GitHub Sponsors allows users to make monthly money donations to projects hosted on GitHub. The public beta was announced on May 23, 2019, and the project accepts waitlist registrations. The Verge said that GitHub Sponsors works exactly like Patreon, because developers can offer various funding tiers that come with different perks, and they'll receive recurring payments from supporters who want to access them and encourage their work, except with zero fees to use the program. Furthermore, GitHub offers incentives for early adopters during the first year. It pledges to cover payment processing costs and match sponsorship payments up to $5,000 per developer. Furthermore, users still can use other similar services like Patreon and Open Collective and link to their own